Before we begin, let me be very clear. I am not saying any of these people are scammers. I am not saying any of these people are intentionally scamming you. That is not what this video is about. At least, that's what I was going to start this video with until I received new information. Because it is my personal belief that one of the people I have included in this video is a scammer who is intentionally scamming you. I am not going to personally call them out or give you their name, not because I'm scared of them or anything, I personally could not care less about it, but because if I don't give you their name, then you can't go and accidentally fall into their trap. So instead, the best way that I can help keep you safe is by telling you Instagram auctions are a scam and showing you why I'm saying that, and then providing you alternatives to finding custom clones. And if you're wondering who I am to even be able to talk about all this, custom Lego is kind of my thing. So why am I saying this? To give the full answer, allow me to tell a short story. Despite uploading my first YouTube video on a different channel almost 12 years ago, I'm still fairly new to this active YouTuber thing. Part of doing that meant growing my Instagram account. So every day I spend a few minutes checking out other accounts, seeing if there's anyone that I might be interested in. And I came across an account that I had previously seen mentioned on a different YouTube channel, of whom I'm not going to name. This particular user makes custom Lego things, and I found that they were doing auctions. Now, unlike YouTube, where I at least know a thing or two, Instagram was pretty new to me altogether. I once had a 7-year gap between uploading pictures, and so I had never even heard of auctions on Instagram, but found myself very interested. With my growing collection of custom figures, and seeing that this is exactly what this particular user had for sale, I wanted to participate. So I followed the rules listed on his page. I went to his website, a place that I had already been to before and had a negative experience with, decided to put that behind me, paid the $1 auction fee, and waited for the auction later that night. And I want to emphasize here, there was about 6 or 7 hours between the time that I paid the fee and the time of the auction. Yet, when the time of the auction came, there was the item that I really wanted to get. I bid, and I was told that I had not paid my auction fee yet. I told him, yes, I did, please check your DMs. He said that if I was going to argue, I was going to get banned. So I left, I went to PayPal, and I refuted the claim. I didn't hear anything from him that day, but the next day, I did get a message from them on Instagram, essentially saying that my fee was approved and I could now bid. I was a little upset at this because you would think that someone running a business like this, because let's be extremely clear here, this is a business, you would think that they would go and actually check their DMs and follow their own rules to make sure that people could participate. This is something that in future auctions I actually saw to be true, so I have no idea why mine wasn't approved until a full 24 hours later. But again, I put that beside me because he still had really cool things for sale. So then a few days later, he has another auction come up, and he has one figure that I really wanted to get, just one. I didn't say anything throughout the entirety of the auction until that figure came up, where I actually did not get it until he offered claims for the same price that the winner got it at. Now, it was actually a fair price from what I've seen elsewhere, so I went ahead and claimed one, and he literally listed off every other person around me until his assistant pointed out that they had missed me, to which again, this particular auctioneer said I had not paid my fee, something which he had approved at that point. So I went ahead and called him out and said, hey, this is now the second time that you've said I've not paid when you have actually already shown that you know I have. He didn't directly acknowledge this, but he did say that I could have one of these figures, but I went back to the DM showing him that I had paid the auction fee, something that was requested by him, and showed him that he had approved it and that this was now the second time he had said I had not paid, and again, he acknowledged this. But at this point, I was done, and I wasn't going to take the risk of having this happen a third time. Now, the figure I wanted was the third figure to show up during that particular auction, and throughout all this, I never actually exited out, I only muted it. And as the auction continued, I started to notice something a little weird. Mixing that with the previous experience I had on his website, I started to get a little worried. Because again, I know custom clones, I know their value, and I noticed that the starting price for the auction was always higher than if one simply bought the figure brand new. But you don't have to take my word for it, I can show you. This is Commander Cody. He's a custom figure I'm all too familiar with, and I've actually done a video reviewing him. During this same auction, one of the figures I saw was Commander Cody, and here is the starting price that he was put at. Now $30 for a custom figure doesn't sound too bad at all, except, wait a minute, that says $28 for, unlike in the auction, a brand new figure that comes with 2 guns. Now maybe this particular figure in the auction wasn't from Minifigs For You like mine, and maybe they went to Clone Army Customs, so what's it like there? So here it does start at $30, but again the difference is that this is brand new. And also one very important thing to mention is that the bidding started at $30, but where did it end? At a whopping $40, meaning that this unfortunate person paid $10 more than if they had just bought it new. But you might be saying, all those drop-down menus on Clone Army Customs are for things that cost extra, so did they really save money? Well, yeah, because even if we get fancy and add in all the extra stuff, it's still only $37.50, which is still obviously cheaper than the $40 that this guy unfortunately spent. Oh, but you know what? I forgot about shipping, which is $4 from Clone Army Customs and from this auctioneer too, so it actually doesn't matter. Okay, so one figure was sold for more than it was worth, and one guy got a bad value out of it. But it's just one, right? For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Well, since you said it. Here's Captain Rex starting at $30, and here's Captain Rex on Clone Army Customs for $28. How much did he sell for? $38. Oh look, Shadow Rex, who also started at $30, and on Clone Army Customs, again, worth $28. But how much did he sell for? Look at that, $38 again. Oh, but he doesn't just do this with the custom Lego. Here's a Phase 1 Commander Wolf, which he starts off at $20. Sounds pretty reasonable, especially when you realize that you can buy him in the same condition off of Bricklink for $27. How much did this sell for? Yeah, sorry man, you could have even gotten a new one for cheaper than that. Oh look, it's one of my favorite clones, the Galactic Marines. Continuing the trend, it started at $30. This one, however, is slightly cheaper on Clone Army Customs at only $27. But it doesn't stop there. You can find decent quality versions of the Galactic Marine for as low as $10. Cheaper if you want to get it from China. Oh, and it's also $29 at Minifigs For You. So it doesn't really matter what the final price on this one was, because there are a lot of ways to get it cheaper. And finally, here's Cal Kestis selling for $33 when you can get him brand new for $28 and support someone who actually deserves it, even if that website needs a little bit of work. And even though it may sound like I'm only talking about a few dollars here, I'm not. At a minimum, figures are selling $5 to $10 more expensive, and to be honest, that $30 difference with Wolf was not the most expensive I've seen. But sadly, this isn't the only guy with some shady tactics. Now this one has a lot less evidence for reasons that will become obvious, but he had advertised these 4 Wolfpack troopers as being available for the auction later that night. With it being a busy day for me, I wasn't sure if I would be able to participate, so I put in a quick bid for all 4 of them. And I did so at a price that I knew would be outbid, but it was never my intention to get all 4. I was honestly hoping just to get one. Come the time of the auction, I find myself actually able to participate, so I find myself watching for the Wolfpack troopers. Early on, one of them gets posted and sells for a price higher than I had put, and more than I was willing to pay. At this point, I didn't have much hope for the other 3, but as figure after figure after figure were auctioned off, they were nowhere to be found. The auction ended, and I was a little confused, wondering what happened to them. them. I had watched the entire auction, but they definitely were never brought up. Nor did I receive any sort of message or billing that night like I was told would happen if I won. So I thought someone else probably put in a higher quick bid and didn't think much of it until the next day, billing me for the 3 remaining figures, which again had never been auctioned. Now I didn't really get screwed on that one outside of paying for 2 more figures than I wanted to, because I did bid for them mistakenly thinking that someone else would outbid me. The problem is for every single other person in that auction who saw those advertised and were never given the opportunity to get them. Now again, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I did receive these in the mail. They came perfectly fine, but I'm also going to be staying away from that guy as well. Now hopefully you can see why I'm saying these are a scam, but even if you don't agree with me, here are 4 things you can do to keep yourself safe. Number 1 is probably the most important. Do your research. Because even if you're okay with the extra money, do remember that you are buying used figures. The people doing these auctions do not create these figures. They are all second hand, and you can very easily find where they're getting their figures from. And if you're not sure where to get those custom figures from, allow me to help you out. If you're like me and looking more specifically for custom clones, your best bet is Clone Army Customs. They have a wide variety of just about every single clone ever created, along with Mandalorians and other figures as well. Their pricing is really good, but their quality is so good too, not just the figures, but their customer service as well. You can also look for custom clones at Minifigs For You, which has similar stuff to Clone Army Customs, but a lot less inventory and unfortunately is out of stock a little more than I'm okay with. Seriously, David, you gotta restock your stuff more often. Or if you still want Star Wars, but not necessarily clones, then Big Kid Bricks is a really good place to go. His pricing varies from really good to no way am I ever going to pay you that amount of money, but I have several of his figures and they are all top notch as well. Again, his website could use some work, but his customer service is really good and his shipping is the fastest I've seen. If you don't feel like spending $30 on a figure and you want to go much cheaper, don't worry, you can still do that with AV Figures. Now they do sell printed figures, but they focus very much on decals, which sell for just a few dollars each. He also has a wide variety and helps you figure out how to do it yourself if you've never done it before, along with selling custom parts. But if you want decals and you don't want to do them yourself, you can always go with SW Fanatics or Star Wars Fanatics, who will do them for you. His prices are more than I'm okay with, but the quality is always really good as well. And if you don't want any of that and all you want to do is just get custom parts for your figures, then you can always go to Aerialite. Again, they do sell printed figures, but they focus mainly on parts. With such a wide variety, you can find whatever you're looking for there. Because even though at the moment most of these places are sold out thanks to a global pandemic, I've had no problem contacting any of them, getting any sort of response or having my questions answered. These guys are all super friendly and very helpful with anything that you might need. So do your research, know how much the figure you want is worth, and oftentimes you'll probably find you can get it for a better value. Number 2 is a little bit of what I just said. If for some reason you still want to participate in the auctions, then know what you want. The people running them always post what's going to be in their auctions ahead of time, sometimes just a few hours, sometimes up to a week before. Either way, now that you know where you can go, you have plenty of time to go and check them out to see how much you should be bidding. Don't buy just to buy. These auctions work because they attract people who are addicted to buying. I know because I'm one of those people. And I know how hard it is to see something that you just really, really want. And so you bid on it and win it, and then 2 weeks later find out that you really didn't want it at all. So once you know what you want and you've done your research, stick to that. Do not buy just to buy. Number 3 is to set a limit. Once you know what you want and once you've done the research to see how much they're worth, stick to a limit. If you say you're not going to pay more than $35 for an item, you do not pay more than $35 for an item. Do not pay $35.01. Do not pay any more than your limit. Because what's going to happen is someone is going to inevitably bid $36, and at that point you might think, well, it's only $1 and you will bid again. But the thing is, it's not just $1 at that point, it's actually $2. Which sounds really obvious, but in the intense nature of an auction, that kind of thought process goes out the window. So set a limit and stick to it no matter what. Otherwise, you're going to be spending way more money than you're happy with. And number 4, even though I said number 1 is the most important, this is probably the second most important. Remember what you're buying. This is all about Lego figures. Tiny plastic figures just over an inch high. Sure, they look cool, but is it worth that money? I've seen some people claim that items they have for sale are worth over $100 just because it's one of a kind. Guys, it's a Lego figure. It's never worth that much money. Especially when it's a custom, because guess what? You can always make more. So remember, do your research, know what you want, set a limit and stick to it, and remember what you're buying. Hopefully that helps you out as it's helped me. As always, the links to all these stores are in the description down below. I am not associated with them in any way. I just think that if you're looking for custom figures, they are the people to go to. They are actually worth your support, and despite being businesses, they don't care just about the money. I've had wonderful experiences with all of them, and I would highly recommend to check at least one of them out if you're looking. Thank you for watching this video that ended up being way longer than I thought it would be. On Tuesday, my video for the custom vendor will come out, so I hope to see you then.